Hi everyone, Lucas Chaffee here in New York from QiqoChat, August 18th, doing the demo with a great bunch of people who've just introduced themselves. Very excited to get all your questions answered and show you what's possible. So I'll first share my screen here. This is the event where we are in. People have started writing their names, and also there's probably a lot of people with a question on their mind. Sometimes that question makes it hard to hear all the other information that's coming. So if you want to just get that question off your mind, feel free to just pop it down here and we'll make sure that we get to it. It sounds like a lot of people want to know about interactivity. How do we get people doing something other than something that might fatigue them with Zoom meetings? So we'll show a bunch of examples here, and the video is going to be posted on the RSVP page for this event. We'll start here on the RSVP page for the event. You can see who has said that they would like to attend, and you can see who's present. It takes about 5 seconds to show up there. And on the RSVP page, you could see, well, this one's more interesting. Who's present? Let's go to map view and kind of see where people are coming from today. And you can see a list of all their profiles here. So we're in the event. We'll click participate now. And this is the default event. Only takes 30 seconds to set up. You get 10 rooms. Each room is listed here. We're in the main room. You can see everybody with their profile photos or an icon. And every room comes with a tool, this Etherpad. It's open source. Everybody types in a different color. You could do a lot of dynamic things like that as a meeting facilitator or conference planner. Some conferences you want to broadcast content, and so you want just a few people to be able to push information, and others you want to be peer-to-peer. So we accommodate for all those different options. You can swap this out with a logo of your conference or event or your sponsors, and you can have different photos at each of these rooms. We'll just pop into a few rooms, see a different photo, and here's a different place to type. And jump to another room. So once you jump to a room, you want to connect to video that's over there. Just click the green button, which we see all the people who can hear me right now have clicked that green button and have launched Zoom. You could swap out Zoom if your client cannot use Zoom for any reason. You could swap it out with Microsoft Teams or Adobe Connect, Google Meet, or Jitsi, or any other tool that launches with a link. So Skype for Business and WebEx also fall in those categories, but so few people have asked for them, so we haven't experimented with them yet. Great, I see a bunch of people are starting to add questions. Please continue to do that. In the meantime, while we get some questions up there on the board, I'll show you some events that we've had recently. Here's one for landscape architects that had no previous experience with QiqoChat and no previous experience with OpenSpace, which is the organizing format we used for this event. So over 600 people, and they came for a 2-day event, 5 hours on day 1, 4 hours on day 2. The concept was, what in this time of a global pandemic and racial injustice, what do we need to cut from our field of landscape architecture, and what do we need to fill in? And here's a logo they came up with for the event. Click in participate now. You'll see the video is turned off. It turns off automatically after your event is over, but you can turn it back on also. So here, we want to catch people's attention. They swapped out different PDFs or images here. And let's take a look at day 1. This was an open space conference, as I mentioned, or an unconference is another term that is similar to open space, but still a few important differences. The key part of an unconference or open space is that participants get to choose the topic. So we used a Google Sheet here. People filled in session 1, space A. We want to talk about this, and that's my name. Scroll down, session 2, space J. Let's talk about this. And so each of these topics we then quickly posted into the rooms. So here's all the different rooms people could talk. Let's go to session 1, space J. When we get there, this is a breakout room. So you could have anything here that you want. It could be a Google Doc like you have here. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a PDF. There's a lot of tools. Tools you can embed into QiqoChat. Tools for taking notes, whiteboarding tools, survey tools, scheduling tools, streaming audio, video. You can make announcements, fundraising, networking. These are some fun examples we'll look at here. Social media accounts. I'm going to paste that link here into our tool here.
Lucas, I've lost you. Anyone else?
Yes, I think I'm back now.
There you're back.
Yep, you're back.
Okay, here's what I was sharing. So the first is how to start with QiqoChat. And then tools you can embed. So these are some common links that people like to ask for. And in case I got cut off there when I was showing the different tools, there's a lot of different options. Did you hear this part, Joe? Okay, great. So
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Here's a few of the different room types we had in this event. So the main space is where we had the opening and panel discussions. We used Zoom meeting, and you can swap that out with Zoom webinar if you like. There are pros and cons to Zoom webinar and meetings. So this event happened 3 weeks ago, and people are still coming back to take a look at the notes because they never had a chance to talk about these topics in their field. And that was clear when we did the video interviews. We had a room for a videographer. People would pop in, share their experience. So let's go to the video interview room. A different logo is up here, but completely optional. Here's a notes page for that room. We had a resource library, which had a lot of a PDF of what the organizers thought would be helpful resources. And then participants were able to add additional resources in a Google Doc. So this was both top down and bottom up. Here, the National Association wanted to include certain web pages. So here's a full web page on the right-hand side. So you get the idea. If it can live on a web page, then you can try embedding it here. There's a few tools that don't get embedded yet, like Mural and Miro. Those are popular tools. Also, Google Jamboard is another popular tool that cannot be embedded. But for those, when you click on it, it'll just open in a new tab. So you can still get participants what they need. Let's take a look at a sponsor room. Since many of you have conferences with sponsors, here's a logo, just indicates you're in the sponsor room. The sponsor put in their web page and their Instagram feed and a PDF and another website that they have. I'm going to pause here to take any questions about something you might have just heard in the past few minutes, and then I'll keep going.
So I'm a little confused about the integration between Zoom and Kiko. So because right now I got two windows. I have the Zoom window open and the window in the browser for Kiko. So it makes it. I'm on a laptop, so it makes it hard to juggle. So am I missing something here, or how do you handle that?
So that is one part of friction, which is you've got Zoom and the web browser, and you can put them side by side, or you can just put one in front of the other. Right now, because I'm sharing my screen, you can see me and you can see, so you don't need to look at the web browser at this time.
Right.
And often when people are sharing their screen, then there's no problem with that. In terms of behind the scenes, how it integrates, you have up to 100 breakout spaces, and they're all listed on the agenda, and each one of them is connected to a separate Zoom meeting. If you want breakouts within a Zoom meeting, just like you have breakouts within a Zoom meeting outside of QiqoChat, that's already there for you as long as you're the host. You can have breakouts within a Kiko breakout. I wouldn't recommend that unless you're in the main space and you're doing something like, quote, pushing and pulling people into those small group breakouts. That's when you want to move people. But normally with Kiko, when people move themselves to different rooms. But if you are doing, say, 3-minute networking in small groups, that's a good time to use Zoom breakouts within a Zoom meeting. Did that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not, you can't do it all in one window. So there's two windows there. So, okay.
If it's very important that you want to do it in one window, you can do it, Tom, but it's going to come with some other limitations. So Zoom can be in the browser, and it will show up here at the top. Let me show you what an integration with Jitsi looks like. Jitsi is an open source tool. It's not a competitor to Zoom. It is for smaller meetings. So here you have the video in the browser. So if you prefer that, we can set up Zoom for you like this too. People who come in, I think on Safari and Edge, Microsoft Edge, have to call in by phone. So it kind of pushes the tech problems a little bit down the road. And I think that it's actually fewer tech problems when you have Zoom and the web browser as separate apps. People need a little bit of orientation to that because that's new. People have varying levels of tech comfort. So what we recommend is for large events, when you got over 50 or 100 people, have some tech orientation sessions the day or two before. So 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the afternoon, and people can just drop in for 5 minutes. And when they drop in, they're testing that they have access, that the email address they think they've registered with you is the same one that you have, and also that they've got Zoom installed, and then they can see the space, they can move around, and that only takes a few minutes because they'll know immediately if they don't have access. So that's something we recommend, is a tech support session the day or two before, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, people pop in for 5 minutes. Okay, let me take any additional questions about something I've said.
So they have to, for participants, we would have to pre-insert all their email addresses in order for them to attend the event?
It is your choice, Lotus. There are several options.
Okay.
So today, I didn't have your email addresses when you attended. And that is the security I put on this event is I'm the host. If something inappropriate was to happen, then we would remove someone from this meeting. So as the host, I can ensure that nobody can share their screen. So nobody can share their screen in this meeting. If you would like different options for how to invite people, here's a helpful document which shows all the examples. So there's some simple ways. You can copy the link and send an email. It's essentially what happened today. You got to the page and you registered yourself. Or you could participate as guest. The other options are you could restrict access with a password. So you give everybody the link, and if they have the password, they can get in. More secure would be restricting access to your event by email address. And so in our event today, this is our event here, click edit. This is the title, this is the description, and this is the start time. It's not particularly beautiful, but it's functional. When you scroll down here to security and permissions, you can restrict participation by email addresses. Say yes. Sally will have to confirm her email address because it says that it's required. But if you don't want Sally to have to confirm her email address, put it down here. Email confirmation is not required. That's helpful if someone works at a place that has high spam restrictions and they just won't get any emails from us. Did that answer your question, Lotus? I'm going to take this link for how to invite participants. Yeah. It shares different screenshots of the different options. Here's a simple RSVP page. This is what it looks like when someone's entering a password here. I'll zoom in a little bit to make it a little easier to see. Then this is how you put in people's email addresses to restrict participation by email address. We were just showing that a moment ago. If someone's not on the email access list, they're going to see a note that says you're not on the email access list. Please contact the organizer. There's another option if you want people to not have to put in a password and you just want them to type in a guest username. That's what's going to be when they show up here on Zoom. You'll see their username, and the email address is to make sure that they match up with your access list. And you can also have people sign in with just a username, so very simple page if you prefer that. But if it's easy for people to get in, the problem is it's easy for people to get in. And so you cannot remove people. You could just remove them from Zoom. And then if you want branding, we can help you with that at the top of your event. So back on our event here, back in the main room, another helpful link, putting down here how to invite people, different options. Okay, I'm going to pause here and go through some of these questions, and then please write additional questions at the bottom of this list. And if I'm answering your question, please feel free to just pop in with a follow-up question if anything is unclear. So looking for an overview, okay, we're in the middle of that. How do you broadcast information across breakouts in a conference or instruction during a training? So as the administrator, and I can grant admin controls to other people too when I go to edit and security. I do that by knowing their email address. Click admin controls, and I could do a few things. Let's say we want to set the topics for breakout rooms. And if people are posting their topics, maybe the people write their topics here, and we say breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner. We can copy these topics, and it's pretty quick to put the topics over here. Click set topics for breakout rooms and paste them in. And now here's all your topics. People can know if they want to talk about a particular topic, they can go to that room. Each room has its own Zoom meeting. So on the fly, that's how you can change topics. Mark's question here is, how do we notify breakout rooms that something is happening? Click admin controls and then notify breakout rooms. Please return to the main room in 5 minutes. You'll hear a little chime. As the administrator, I can see notes across all breakout rooms. I can open up chat. At the bottom right here is chat. I can open up that in a new window. The advantage is I can turn on a chime there. Only admins can hear every time. So if you're busy in the meeting, you can at least know when someone might be asking a tech support question. When you create your team to host your event, if it's 25 or fewer people, maybe one facilitator can handle that. If you start getting above that, it's very good to have a facilitator and then someone who manages the technology. The person who manages the technology is going to be helping people get in. If you're restricting your event, it's going to be helping people for the first time find out where the green button is to launch Zoom.
And Lucas, I'm sure that number changes if you're using multiple tools.
Yes, you would know your audience, and it's your choice about whether you need a second person or not. Once you start doing the same events types, it's a quarterly meeting with a leadership team. The second time, it may be just one person, because now everyone is kind of going to be a tech host because they will have familiarity. They're going to be seeing questions in the live chat, and they'll be answering them peer-to-peer. Any follow-up questions on that, Mark?
Yeah, so the notification pops up. Does it disappear on its own after a while, or do participants need to click it to make it go away?
Yes, here's a test. All of those are true. So you hear the chime, it's going to go away after maybe 15 seconds, and then I can click it to make it go away as a participant. And also something that's helpful, put on a timer. So set timer 30 minutes so people can expect that that message is going to come. And it just makes it a bit more resilient with more information for participants, and they can now regulate their conversation. So
yeah, because I was going to say, because if you're running a very interactive course, or you've got a larger and very collaborative event, other tools will tend to make that message disappear. People miss it, and so it gets a little tricky. So that's good to know. Thanks.
You're very welcome. If people, now back to Tom's point, if people are looking at Zoom and not Kiko, the only thing they'll hear is the chime. So as a facilitator, you can prime them and say, when you hear the chime, that means there's a message on Kiko, and probably that's meaning it's almost time to wrap up, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, how to rename rooms. Walter's question, click on edit and customize your main space and breakouts. Okay, I want 20 rooms, and you go up to 100, and then I'm gonna add a title or a name for each room. So main room, and the beach, garden, park, pub, and we also have some topics that are already posted there. So we'll click update and we'll see our new names in our breakout rooms. Okay, the beach, garden, park, the pub. And you can then put different photos there if you want. That's done with an event design template. Click on your name and find event design templates. This is the butterfly event design template. There's one for gardens. Those are the defaults at this time. Christina, do you have any, given what you've heard, do you have some follow-up questions about interactive features on Kiko?
I added some questions over there. So yeah, whatever I like questions that are popping up, I'm just listing them down there.
Okay, great. With the large meeting add-on, we can increase the default in a Zoom meeting from 300 to 500 or 1,000. Normally you have 100 in a Zoom meeting, but these meetings are created via the API, computer, server-to-server communication between us and Zoom. What are the costs involved? It's $1 per day per person, plus a penny per minute per person. US dollars. Here's a pricing calculator. QiqoChat.com/pricing. Let's take a look at that pricing calculator. A 50-person workshop that happens on one day for 4 hours costs $3.40 per person. 100 people, cost stays the same per person.
If you have an event which is 4 hours per day, those 4 hours need to be as one event at a stretch, or can they be split into 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, for instance?
You can split it however you like. Did you say that it's 2 days?
No, on one day.
One day.
But you have a morning session and an evening session.
Absolutely, you can split it. We get billed ½ a cent per minute per person from Zoom. Whether that's all together 4 hours or 2 and 2, we get charged the same amount from Zoom. They charge us, as I mentioned, ½ a cent. We charge you 1 cent, plus the $1 per day. Thank you for that insightful question. Can you upload video files to Kiko? You can upload video files to YouTube and then embed them in Kiko. Here in the main space of this event, they hired DJs from Berlin who were fantastic, and I highly recommend them. We embedded their live stream. There's their names, Darius Darek and Mono Abe. Happy to put you in touch. So the live stream was happening here through YouTube Live. And then people were able to go to the networking rooms. Here we have a networking for students, emerging professionals, mid-career, senior level, and then mix it up. That's how we decided to do it. You can also break it out by topics. So go to emerging professionals, and then when you're in here, you can join the Zoom video here. So here's a photo in the networking area. You can put anything themed for your conference, and then people can join video. the other rooms that we have that are hidden, because you can hide and unhide rooms at any time during your event. It was networking emerging professionals with video, mid-career with video, senior level with video, correction, with DJs, so people can go either to the place where there were no DJs or where there were DJs based on their preference. So you can embed that YouTube video there, but we don't have a way to upload them. You can upload PDFs and other documents to Kiko. I just got Zoom bombed here.
If I may ask, is it just YouTube, or can you embed files from Vimeo, for example?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Here are the tools that you can embed: YouTube, live, or recorded
Okay.
Vimeo. Loom is also another fun one, and Spotify. And anything that has embed code on the internet can be embedded. You may need to do, this one's a little more complicated, but here are the instructions for embedding custom HTML. Specific browsers where Kiko works best, there are no limitations with the major browsers. If you're going to use Zoom in the browser, which we do not set up by default, then Zoom has a limitation for internet. Microsoft Edge and Safari, I believe, need to call in by phone. They cannot do the audio through the computer. But for Brave is a browser with less popularity and does have some friction, but all the major ones do not have that. Is there a possibility to have multiple smaller video chats where people could join and leave as they please, so not Zoom breakout rooms? Yes. Here's a fun networking experiment that I'm going to run in 2 days. So you're going to arrive here. This is knowledge management for development, and everyone's invited to attend this event. I'll paste the link into the chat here. So arrive at the main room, and I think I'm going to hide all the breakout spaces when people get here. But you can come to the beach, and you could join with this really cool tool called Spatial Chat. And when I move myself next to you, we can speak to each other. When we're done speaking, I move myself over here, and now I'm in this group of 5 or 4. You can have 50 people on the screen. It costs $50 a month, but we have the account. So right now, this is just, we want to see how people want to use it. So contact us, and then we'll set you up with this for free to test out. There's another tool called Work Adventure, which I've connected to all these other rooms. I'll go into, let's say, the office space number 1. And this is a video game, 2-dimensional video game. Type in your name, choose your person, and then start your video. And then, very similar to the last tool, when you move yourself around and you find someone, if I go sit down at these chairs, I will be on video with the people here. And it's just a fun way to get around Zoom fatigue. And you could take a nap here if you want.
So are these spatial chats linked to breakout rooms? How did you arrive there?
I created this QiqoChat event. You will probably need my help to create this kind of but if you just want to do what I did here at the beach, you can purchase a spatial chat account, and you take the link. Here's the link. And to experiment today, I'm going to put it into our event. This is where everyone is. I'm going to put it here at the beach. This is how you embed a tool into Kiko with just the link. Customize your main space. Online tools for the main space and each breakout, and just paste in the link. That's all there is to it. This will go in the main room. Because we already have notes in the main room, I'm going to move it down to the beach. So each row is for a different tool. And now everyone is welcome to give that a try. You can have, this is the test account where it's only 4 people max, so you might get kicked out if there's more people. So this is our tool right here where we were testing. Head on over to the beach and it'll prompt you to turn your camera on. It doesn't interfere with Zoom as you saw there. So you can have some fun with that when we wrap up this training. I'm going to go back to the main room and see what other questions we have. Is there a possibility to have smaller video chats? Those are the 2 best options. YoTribe is another option that's similar to spatial chat, YoTribe. And that's mentioned here in the list of tools that you can embed. Is there a limit to co-hosts or co-admins? So you've got co-hosts of a Zoom meeting, and you also have admins on the QiqoChat side. If you're an admin of the Kiko event, then you can also be a host of the Zoom meeting. You'll click admin controls and then join video as host. This is the regular join video as participant. The second person to join as host will be the co-host. The third, the fourth, the fifth. Zoom, I believe, says there's no limit to the number of co-hosts in their documentation. On Kiko, there's no limit to the number of administrators you can have for an event. You just want to make sure that you're not both editing the Kiko event at the same time because you'll overwrite each other's changes. How to change the Zoom meetings? Oh, okay. Is there a limit of breakout rooms? 100. If you need more, we might be able to get up to 200, but let's experiment first. 100 is where we are comfortable. We would just test the number of servers needed for that. So we'd love to work with you on that if you've got a big organization that needs something like that. In each breakout room, there's no limit to the number of people, but with Zoom, you have the limits of, as I mentioned before, 300 people per Zoom meeting, or 500 or 1,000 if you add the Zoom meeting add-ons. If you use a Zoom webinar, then it's up to 1,000 or 10,000 people. You can also stream either Zoom meeting or Zoom webinar into YouTube Live, and then put that right here on the page that we showed you, like the German DJs. You can have those videos playing automatically. That's a fun touch where people arrive on the page and it's a welcome video. That's something neat to, and you can put that on the RSVP page or here. How to change them from Zoom webinars, from Zoom meetings to Zoom webinars. Click edit, and then at the bottom, click special features. You'll paste in Zoom link number 1, 2, and 3, like this. So that'll be the Zoom link for the main room, the second room, the third room, the fourth room, the fifth room. All of those would be different. Ask us to enable that for your account, please. It'll require, you may save money, but it'll also require a bit more work on your part to track approximately how many minutes. Because when you're putting a separate Zoom meeting in there, we don't know how many minutes are being used. So we ask you to estimate for us so that we can bill you appropriately. The cost can be reduced because we'll give you those Zoom meetings at half price that you would buy them. So the Zoom meeting costs $21, $21.75, something like that with tax, because we're buying business Zoom, and we'll charge you half that. And then instead of charging a full penny per minute, we'll charge you half a penny per minute because Zoom is not billing us per minute. I know that's a lot of information. It's in the recording. Please contact me if you have any questions about that. We don't recommend it because there's just a lot more complexity when you start putting in your own Zoom meetings. But if you have specific security restrictions on your Zoom meetings, maybe you want to do that. And some clients prefer that. And we absolutely support that. You won't see that unless you reach out to us, please, and ask for that to be turned on for your account. Can videos be uploaded to the platform? We had mentioned we'll upload them to YouTube and then embed them just like we embed any link into any breakout room. Can the platform be open for participants for 4 weeks? Absolutely. You only get charged when people click the green button. So if you turn video off, there's no charge. Does chat reach every participant? Here, the answer is yes. We are coming in with Rocket Chat, which is going to be one-to-one chat messaging, and I think you'll be able to customize specific chat per breakout rooms. Although chat per breakout rooms you can already handle in Zoom. In every Zoom meeting, there's already a chat window. For people who decide to join by phone instead of a computer, when you go to the RSVP page, you have call-in info for all breakouts. You're going to receive an email with all the call-in info in a few minutes if you're the administrator. And then you can take that and send it to all the people that are going to be dialing in by phone. If they're dialing in by phone, I think you understand now, they're not going to be able to see anyone's screen unless they also have Zoom open on the computer. They don't have to have Zoom open on the computer.
What if they are joining not by dialing in, but trying to join on video on their phone? What would that look like?
It will be a narrow screen. So when Kiko gets narrow, it looks like this. So breakout rooms are on the top, and the notes are on the bottom, or whichever tools you have in that room. Now, when I'm on my phone and I click Join Video, Zoom is going to pop up, and it's going to completely cover the browser. It's hard for people on a phone to navigate between the browser and Zoom. So we recommend use a laptop, please, or have two devices, have two phones. We've seen that innovation from people in India, which I thought was a very clever solution. Can exhibitors also have video in their breakout rooms? Absolutely. If we go to the Cut Fill event, click on the sponsor. Here are their tools that they want embedded, their PDFs, their Instagram feed, and then they have their own video meeting right here. You may want to have it staffed at certain hours if you have all the sponsors being present at certain times of the day. And you can also set your booth up so that it's valuable for people to go to even when the sponsors are not present, maybe even days before the event begins. So you can have YouTube videos up here, for example. Here's an event where we had companies like NASDAQ, they had their own room. Here's the Google Doc where they can message to tell people how many people are in the waiting room. They had different recruiters. So how many recruiters there? 5 recruiters from that company. And you can come in and watch the YouTube videos. You could submit a resume. So you could think about how can you make the vendor booths valuable even when the vendors are not present. We've answered this one about bringing people back to the main room. We give them a notice and then they move themselves. Breakout rooms do not close at the end of, let's undo that. Breakout rooms do not close at the end of the timer. Nothing happens when the timer goes out. So that gives you maximum flexibility because maybe you want a chime and maybe you don't. So if you want a chime, then send another message out to everybody. The power of Kiko is that people can move themselves. The disadvantage is that people can move themselves. The admin cannot close out the breakout rooms when they're finished very easily. But if you have some tech assistance, for the larger events, we have one person start at the top, one person start at the bottom, and they go through the breakout rooms, or maybe they take a preset number, because you'll see which rooms have not finished their discussion. And you go in there and say, the main session is resuming in the main room. We're doing our closing session now, please return. You can go in and shut it down if you want to, but we find there's never really a need for that. People know when to regulate themselves and move in. And once you close the meeting, people can still go back to the link by changing. Here we're in the main room, that's room 0. If they want to go to room 1, 2, 3, they could just change that number. So even if you hide the rooms, people can still go there and join video, but it's unlikely because nobody else is going to be in those rooms. Will breakout rooms operate the same as when they are in Zoom? Can a host send a notification via Zoom? Absolutely. Once you launch Zoom, it's exactly the way it is without QiqoChat. It's between you as the Zoom host and Zoom. Do you have a billing system for events? You can integrate with Eventbrite. Here are the instructions for how to do that. If you're not using Eventbrite and you're using Cvent, we can also integrate with that, but it takes a little bit more work. If you have yet another system or an association management system or any other registration system, all you have to do is copy the email addresses and names and then paste them into a specific part on Kiko. When you click Edit and Security, you have an option to have Kiko send or resend an invitation. And if we look at the other link we pasted above, options for how to invite people, your options are explained here. Please let me know if you have any questions with those. When your event is over, you'll have an invoice available here. Click your name and then billing. And you get the chance to approve it or reject it or find any discrepancies, such as maybe some people came in through 2 devices, but it was really one person. We don't need to charge you twice $2 for that same person that day. You just might catch it and say, Sally 1, Sally 2. Just let us know, we'll make an adjustment on the invoice. Is there any follow-up questions on that? Okay, I'm going to keep rolling through and then open it up some more once we get through these questions. If we want to add concept word, and I'll say, or any tool, the general idea is you create the tool or the instance of that tool, whether it's a Google Drawing or a Google Doc, you do that on that other tool. Then you just copy the link and you paste it into the Kiko breakout room. Something that's important to think about is who should have access to this tool. On Google Docs, you can share the link with anyone who has access or just specific email addresses, and other tools follow similar patterns. So you want to make sure that everyone you want to have access in your event will also have access. For some tools, they can have access without having to log in. For other tools, they do need to go in and create an account. So you're the expert on the tools that you want to embed, so you probably know the answer of whether they need to create an account or not. When you're moving between the main room and video breakout room, you're essentially logging out of one Zoom meeting and then logging into another Zoom meeting. Yes, we'll call it Zoom meeting because Zoom has another idea of what a Zoom room is that's in a physical location. So each of these breakouts is connected to a Zoom meeting or a Zoom webinar. If you bring your own Zoom webinar, just let us know. We'll help you connect that by giving you access to put in your own links. If you want to put in Microsoft Teams, Adobe Connect, Google Meet, those are all options too. And you can be in one Zoom meeting at a time on a computer. If you wanted to really be in 2 at the same time on a computer, you can open up one in the web browser. Some people want to open it up in the web browser because their company may not permit them to download the Zoom app. So you open up in the web browser here, and it opens up in a new tab. And it is possible to be in both the web browser and the app at the same time. And if you're the host of an event, it's good to have 2 computers so you can be monitoring the main room. And you say, okay, I'm in the main room. I'm going to go to room 3. It looks like they need help. And then you mute yourself over here. And on your other computer, you can go into room number 3 in case they need help there. That's particularly helpful if you're the only person. What are the costs if using Jitsi? Jitsi is free to us. You will pay $1 per day per person when they click that green button. Let us know. We're still experimenting. We don't want to recommend Jitsi yet because I'm not confident that the friction is low. You have to use Firefox or Chrome, and that's going to be a problem for some users. additionally, it only takes up to about 10 to 20 people. We say 15 people in a Zoom meeting. So if you're interested, here's my contact info. Will we get a copy of this Q&A or should we copy paste all this info? One of the advantages of QiqoChat is that the Q&A, the documents, whatever tool you're using, the drawing, the whiteboard, it all lives exactly where it is right now, even after the Zoom meeting is over. So you can come back at any time. What about data protection? Here's Kiko's privacy policy. We don't sell or give your information to anyone, especially your email address. So all our servers are located in the European Union. That's important for European customers. Once the event is set, the rooms and the tools, would we have access to run a trial and get ourselves around? Absolutely. So we recommend doing a rehearsal, as I mentioned a bit earlier in this call, a day or two before, an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and anyone can pop in for 5 minutes. And we recommend having the rehearsal where your event is going to take place. Don't have it in a separate meeting, have it right in the same place. So it will say, cut fill July 23rd and 24th, even though your rehearsal might be on the 21st. In those instances, you may want to put the date in the title of your event so that it's even more obvious, because the date is also going to be listed on the RSVP page. But when you put it in the title of the event, it helps people stay oriented. You can come into your meeting space anytime beforehand. There's no charge. It's, again, only when you click the green button are you counted as a participant for that day. So that's $1 per day per person who clicks the green button, and also a penny per minute per person. Okay, let me open up the floor. I think we covered all the questions that were, oh, can someone from Kiko be there to assist with questions and answers? Absolutely. Our rates are $120 per hour or $108 per hour for nonprofits. We do both full service and self-service events, because you see how many people there are on this call, all hosting. Sometimes there's 20 events on Kiko in a given day. If we need to help for multiple of them, we scale up with contractors that we trust. And we love hosting and helping you host your events. We'll do anything for your event that you would not like to do, such as planning the event space, configuring the platform to match your vision for the event, showing you different examples of what other organizations are doing for similar events. We have our trusted facilitators that can help be the facilitator for your event. We can also be there for tech support. If you have, say, a conference of 300 people and it's multiple days, it would probably be helpful for us to be present for your tech support sessions the day or two before, when you have that 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, and then also the first 90 minutes of every day when people are trying to log in. So up to an hour beforehand, and maybe the next half hour or the next 60 minutes. And you would use us in both mornings. You can also just have us stay the whole day with you if you want. Some organizations prefer that. And let me open up the floor. Just wave if you'd like to say a question, and then please share it out or type it into the chat in Zoom or put it back in Kiko. Thanks very much for sticking around, and I'm going to be here to answer the other questions you have. You have to drop off. You're very welcome to do so. Let me open up the floor. Joe.
Lucas, can you, what if we wanted some of our staff to be trained in this? Apologize if somebody asked it, really brought up to speed, is that something, how would that work?
Just hire us. I'll do an event like this for you, and private demo, $120 an hour, $108 for nonprofits per hour, and we'll take as long as you need, as many times as you need. And
so,
you
but
can
is it more than just this? Is it, okay, let's do an 8-hour session of let's do this and practice this and do all that?
Well, fortunately, I don't think you need us for that. And that's my estimation of the average professional and the average complexity of QiqoChat. What you need for us is to show you, here are the things that are possible, but I know people they're like, okay, now it's possible. So maybe another hour with your team, we can get into more in depth, but I don't think you'll need more than that. What you'll probably do as a team after that hour is you'll be thinking like, oh, I could do this and this and this, and then you'll experiment with each other.
Love it. Oh, follow up to that super quick. You say there are consultants or contractors out there that one could hire to be your on-call QiqoChat operator?
Yes, because we've met so many people that have run some very innovative Kiko events. We bring them in for different events when we are hired.
Got it. My only concern is, if you're not doing one of these, every week, you forget it, you get stale, et cetera, et cetera. So it might be nice to have somebody you could just call to say, I've got, here are my schedule for the next 3 months,
Absolutely. And there's hundreds of people doing very innovative online events. Many of them are on this call, and
got it.
Just let us know if you'd like us to connect with someone. I'll pause the recording, or I'll just end the recording here, and I'll stay on for any additional questions. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm Lucas at QiqoChat.com. I'll put my phone number in the chat, 917-528-1831, and our tech support number is on the website. Please do reach out. We do these every week, and we do open office hours when you could just drop in to ask a question about 4 or 5 times a week also. So I'll stop the recording here and stay on for any additional questions. Thank you. I look forward to seeing what you create online.